The young stay there for another 3 days or so before they are ready to swarm out. The pair keeps guarding the free-swimming fry from the other inhabitants of the aquarium, launching full-flare attacks if they get too close to the shoal of juveniles. In smaller aquariums, less than 80 centimetres, close could conceivably mean the entire tank, so any tank mate could be in danger. The juveniles are also controlled by body and fin signals, which they understand well. A quick body shake from the female is enough to send the fry into hiding mode, and they all duck down to the substrate in unison. When danger is over, another signal from mum follows, and the juveniles continue their grazing. As they grow, some of the fry begin to disobey these orders, causing frustration for their parents. This can cause disarray and could end family peace, especially in a busy community tank, resulting in either the pair eating their fry or just simply neglecting them. In a densely planted tank, some of the fry can survive, but if the intention is to raise the juveniles, this is the point where the aquarist should intervene. I usually siphon out about 2/3 of the young fish into a separate aquarium where I can properly look after them more closely. As even the newly hatched fry can feed on microworms and Artemia norpali, raising them isn't an issue. Giving them enough room is, however. Make sure you have suitable raising tanks before even attempting to breed firemouths, because a single spawning could yield a couple of hundred fry. Another issue is rehousing, so unless you have a guaranteed outlet that you can sell your fish to, don't keep all the fry. If you just want to enjoy raising this species, a dozen or so fry could give you the satisfaction without much worry about the rehoming excess. Without much more worry of rehoming the excess. I find them especially hardy, so with proper housekeeping you shouldn't expect any losses. The other firemouth. My story with another Therichthes species, the Eliotti cichlid, Therichthes maculopinus, is somewhat shorter. I have recently acquired them after receiving a desperate call from a local aquarist asking me if I could rehome 2 fish causing havoc in her fish tank. The pair, but especially the male, destroyed several new cichlids, including a few Heros, Ceravus, and Virha synipslia, and bullied even the huge fire eels and weather loaches there. When attending the scene, I was amazed to see the size of the male. It was the biggest of its kind I have ever seen, exceeding 12 centimetres SL. At home, they were temporarily housed in an 80-litre quarantine tank. After 3 days of chasing, the male kept bullying the female, they decided to bury the hatchet and laid a batch of eggs onto the internal filter. The female took full responsibility for them and fiercely protected the eggs from the male. Her dominance lasted right up until the fry were around. Unfortunately, a few days after hatching, they all disappeared. Likely it was too much stress for the female and she ate them, and the male took charge of the fish tank again. This time his aggression was amplified to the extreme, to the extent that I had to remove the female to avoid serious injuries. By contrast, I have never seen such aggression with the T. Miki, as their disputes have never caused any harm. After the quarantine period ended, I moved my pair to the large community tank, with plenty of plants and hiding places. They have been sharing it with fully grown golden barbs, Barboides semifasciolatus, Madagascar rainbows, Bidotia madagascarensis, and a pair of hoplo catfish, Mega cellista oracata, without any issues since. The male still keeps chasing the female, but she can easily hide herself away when needed. He leaves the other fish in the tank alone, as they're not considered to be competitors, like the Vieja cichlids he used to be housed with, nor a threat, like the fire eels. This leads us to the decisive question as to whether firemouths are a good community fish or not. I wouldn't add them to the mixed cichlids tank, especially those without the proper hiding places, and alongside aggressive species. If they grow up together, they may get along well, but adding any new fish to the established mix could lead to disaster. I would also avoid firemouths in tanks with rooted plants, as their continuous digging could destroy the landscape. But in the right setup, meaning over 120 centimetres in length, with the right tank mates, like medium-sized barbs, live bearers or tetras, they could be the centrepiece you're missing, giving you hours of enjoyment. Bringing up a baby. If you provide firemouths with the right environment and a varied diet of live, frozen and quality dry foods, you don't have to wait long for breeding activity. If you see a separated pair with a female showing extended genital papillae, you will know that spawning is imminent. I found that in contrast to many flat stone egg-layer species, my firemouths prefer to lay their eggs onto a near vertical surface, like the inside of a coconut shell or the side of an internal filter. Larger flower pots are utilised too. The pair carefully cleans the selected area, then the female lays a few eggs in a row, which are then fertilised by the male. This is repeated several times until all the eggs are laid. After spawning, both parents take part in the care, and usually the female takes responsibility for looking after the eggs, while the male patrols the borders. From time to time, they swap roles, and daddy care is called upon for short periods of time, while mum searches for some food for herself. Did you know? When cichlids sift sand through their gills, as well as picking out food, they use it to clean the delicate gill rakers. This change of guard has its own ritual, with the couple giving various body and fin signals to each other, confirming their bonds. After 3 days, the pair relocates the fry to a well-protected pit dug in the substrate, taking turn in carrying the hatchlings in their mouths. Firemouth cichlid. Scientific name: Thorichthys meeki. Pronunciation: Thorichthys meeki. Size: 13 to 14 centimetres. Origin: Central America, Mexico down to Guatemala and Belize. Habitat: ranges from shallow streams and cenotes to ponds and ditches. Tank size: 120 by 30 by 30 centimetres. Water requirement: slightly acidic to alkaline water, 6 to 8.2 pH, 2 to 18H. Temperature: 22 to 30 degrees Celsius. Temperament: relatively peaceful, larger community species, sometimes territorial with its own. Feeding: wholly unfussy, offer flakes, pellets, live and frozen daphnia, as well as bloodworm. Availability and cost: very common, juveniles start at around £3.50. Sexual rivalry. My young firemouths grew quite quickly, and soon I could determine their sexes. Out of the 8 fish I had 2 males and 6 females. This was lucky, as males are usually more troublesome than the females.